In our previous lesson, we looked at how to view the Revit API online through the CHM file, which is available on the developer network, and within Revit itself with Revit lookup. With being able to look at the Revit API, we realize there are a few different data types that pertain. We looked at walls and we looked at a few others as well. In this lesson, we are going to look at Revit data types. They do differ a bit from other data types that we have looked at in previous lessons. Previously, we've looked at strings, numbers, doubles and integers, booleans, and all those kind of things. Revit has its own data types that we have to work against with Dynamo and move between data types. It can be a little overwhelming at first, but we're going to explain it in a way that makes it easy to understand. So we're going to go ahead and reiterate in this lesson the classes, methods, and properties that we are working with in the Revit API, and we're going to view this with Revit Lookup and Dynamo. So with that in mind, let's go ahead and jump into Revit 2024 and the sample model. All right, so once again, here we are in the Revit 2024 sample model, the architectural sample model, Snowden Towers. We are going to use this to look at a few data types. So I have Dynamo open as well, so we'll go ahead and fire that up. And I have a simple categorical collector for all of the wall category in the active view. So that is what we are working with. We have 1100 walls in this view. So we do have all those selected. A node in Dynamo that is super powerful and you should be familiar with, and if you're not, you will be now and you'll use it all the time, is object type. It looks like the little level head marker. If you place this entire elements in, it tells you as a string what kind of element you're working with. Really great way to use this, and it actually helps you dissect the Revit model a bit to see what you're working with. This is one type of data type. Specifically, when it's revit.elements.wall, that is a data type from Dynamo. So this is what is known as a casted data type in Dynamo. It gives you that little green selection box on the nodes. In the Revit database, a wall would be an autodesk.revit.db.wall, and we'll see that here in a moment. If we scroll through this list, we should see all walls for the most part. We'll keep scrolling, and I do think I saw a little flicker there. So what we'll see is on line 759, we have a revit.elements.family instance. So these are the different data types that we have going on in here. Specifically, item number 759, that is a in-place family of a wall category. That's another thing that object types can start to give to you as well. If someone makes an in-place wall, that's what's going to happen. So in this case, if we go to 759 on this list, we will see that it is a parapet cap and it has an element ID as well. Clicking on it, we will see that that in-place family is right here, and we have a walls category. That is not a wall element data type though. So another good thing to learn from this lesson. Once again, revit.elements.wall would be from Dynamo. So anything that starts with revit.elements are going to be in the Dynamo casted version of an element. In a previous lesson, we looked at the DLLs required to build Dynamo packages for Dynamo for Revit. One of those packages is revitnodes.dll. That's where these classes live. So that's one kind of data type that we are working with. If we jump into Revit itself and pick a regular wall, not that in-place wall, let's just hover and find one. If I go to add-ins, Revit lookup, Snoop selection, we'll think for a moment. We will have walls in here, so it's going to click on wall. We have a whole lot of different ones in here. If I select a wall, we will see that we have all of our different parameters in here. If we go on down, we will see what kind of object this is as well. So if we come in and we select a wall, we'll just pick a regular one here. Let's find this wall. We will go to add-ins, Revit lookup, Snoop selection. In this case, we have our wall. It's that exterior rain screen. All the parameter values are available to us. The properties, all those good things are right here for us to see how to use them. It tells you that it inherits from a host object. It is a wall, but we want to see exactly what kind of data type it is. Right-clicking on the wall itself and clicking on help will fire up a search for you, and you will see that we are searching for autodesk.revit.db.wall. That is the data type of that element. If we were to select a room, it'll also search that for us. So let's jump to a floor plan just to see what kind of class a room is. We'll select this room. We'll go to add-ins, Revit lookup, Snoop selection. We have room. If we click on help, you can see that it's searching for autodesk.revit.db.architecture.room. That is the data type or the class of that object. In Dynamo, if we were to select a room, so let's jump back to Dynamo. And in this case, we're just going to do a simple select model element. We'll click select, and we're going to pick that same room just to make sure we're consistent. And picking a room is always kind of tedious. We'll say we have a room picked. We'll plug that into object type, and we will see that it's a revit.elements.room. So you start to see that connection there. In order to work with our Revit elements with the Revit API that we're extracting with Dynamo back and forth, we need to do something called wrapping and unwrapping. That's what we're covering in the next lesson. But essentially what we want to understand is that there are different data types that we're working between. We are working with Revit.elements element, and then we are also working with things that are Autodesk.Revit.db elements. There are a lot more items available to you if you translate an element to a Revit.db element, and that's what we're going to do in the next lesson. So with that in mind, I encourage you to use this Dynamo graph. We will have this linked in the lesson notes below, and use this Dynamo graph to interrogate the sample model, collect a few other things and see what kind of classes they are. See if you run into any errors. There are a few different classes that don't translate into Dynamo as of the time of this course. So play with a few of them, change the category collection, select a few other things and see what you find. The walls thing's pretty interesting because we are revealing in-place families. See if there are any other categories that have in-place families within the model. With that in mind, we are going to get into translating these elements and actually coding some of this in the next lesson, and we'll see you there.